Good morning. Let's try it again. Good morning. All right, everyone at home now knows that we've got lots of people here in the sanctuary. A warm welcome to everyone who is here for worship this morning, whether you are here in the sanctuary or worshiping from your home. It is good that we can be together and connected for this time of worship. First off, a few announcements. I wanted to, these flowers are obviously here in remembrance of Andrew, and I wanted to offer a huge thank you to everyone who was here on Friday and everyone who helped with Friday in any way. It was amazing to see all the people that were here from this community of faith to support Chris and the family, and also pitching in. This is an incredible community of faith who really knows how to show love and hospitality and welcome, and it really did take a community on Friday to be able to get everyone in and be here. So I just wanted to say thank you for all the many, many ways that you helped, and I know it meant the world to Chris and the family. Outside on Friday, for those who weren't here, on Friday we had a bulletin board up in the hall just outside my office there on your way to coffee, you will see it. And it's got some pictures of Andrew, and Chris has some brightly colored sticky notes there, and she asked the people who are here on Friday to write down a word or two that reminds you of Andrew. And so if you didn't get a chance to do that, it's still there, and you are invited to do that this morning. She'll be in tomorrow to pick up all of those words, and that will be for them a good remembrance of Andrew. The bench that Scouting is putting up in Haliburton at the Scout Camp is also there, and you will see it is this beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. And you'll see there's all kinds of remembrances on there. There's a little spot where a bunch of us from Clarkson have signed our name, and you're all invited to sign that as well, because that is a memorial bench that will be there in memory of Andrew, and just when you read the notes, it just shows how loved he was. So welcome to sign that this morning as well. Holy Week begins next week. Where did this time go? This season of Lent seems long, and then all of a sudden we are at Holy Week. There is a flyer out in the hallway that gives you the listing of all the different things that are happening in Holy Week. We'll be here on Palm Sunday, and I've got a really special service planned, and we'll have a number of readers that are helping me with that service. So spread the word and come out and enjoy that in person, and of course there'll be some beautiful music in that service. Thursday night, we're at St. Bride's down the street, the Anglican Church. We've all been invited there. As you remember, pre-pandemic, we used to do a lot more during Holy Week, and we were every place for one night, but we've scaled it back just a little bit. So Thursday night we'll be at St. Bride's for Maundy Thursday service. Easter Sunday, Jamie and I are going to lead that, and Stuart will do the music down on the beach. So we'll be down on the beach again for Easter Sunday, and that is just a beautiful time of watching the sun come up and praising God. And then here on Easter Sunday for a beautiful service of celebration for the risen Lord, and then we're at Walden Circle. Anyone who wants to go there can come there too. It's going to be a full day of worshiping, so I hope you'll join in one or more of those services. And do pick up a little flyer. You can take that home with you so you know everything. You're going to hear more about this, but I just wanted to flag it. Saturday, May the 6th. Clarkson Cabaret. Elizabeth, Olivia, and some friends are going to be entertaining us, and we're going to have just a fun evening. Our Faith in Action team is planning just a beautiful, fun evening for us, and so you're all invited. We'll hear more next week about that, and the tickets will be available very soon, and we're hoping you'll invite some friends to be able to come and enjoy that evening. That's it for my announcements. So let's take a deep breath, and I see people exhaling. That's just a deep breath in. And prepare our hearts for worship. In just a moment, we're going to join together for the responsive call to worship, and this comes again from PWS&D, and if you take this home, if you haven't had a chance to read the back, you'll see how Presbyterian World Service and Development is responding to drought in Somalia, so our donations are being used for great, great things. So let's join now in the responsive call to worship. Just as the Spirit drove Jesus into the wilderness, here we are taught to pay attention to those calling out for care. Like him, sometimes we arrive too late when tragedy has already occurred. With Lazarus already in the tomb, Jesus cared for the grieving before turning his attention to his dead friend.
Let us pray for and support the medics as well as the injured, the aid workers as well as the homeless, the food providers as well as the hungry.
Tragedies may show us the worst of humanity when greed and malice flourish. As we come to worship, we're going to sing one of our Lenten hymns, number 205, O love, how deep, how broad, how high.
Oh love, how deep,
invite you to join me in our prayers of adoration and confession. God, in whom we live and move and have our being, we praise you. In the face of all that wearies us and worries us, your word echoes across the centuries with hope. As we follow the footsteps of Jesus in this Lenten season, his cross standing before us, we trust you are never far from our sorrows, walking with us, sharing our tears. You stand beside us when we don't know which way to turn. In this time of worship, renew our trust in your resurrection promises. Draw near to us when we need you the most, with love that will never let us go. And so we offer you our wonder and our praise in the name of Jesus, who is the resurrection and the life. God, who knows us through and through, we confess that our memories can cause us to struggle with our faith. We remember difficult times when we've wondered where you were. We remember tragedies when we asked how you could let them happen. We remember our mistakes when we wondered how you could love us. Forgive us when our memories turn us away from you. Remind us that your love never lets us go, and that its power holds us and heals us in every desperate moment. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Be assured by the psalmist who says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. And let us respond together. We open our hearts, our minds, our souls, our vision to the ways of love created by God, embodied by Jesus, and already moving in us by the Spirit. We are forgiven, loved, and freed. Amen. So, folks, it is that time to rise and offer peace to your neighbors, to the folks worshiping online. Remember, we offer love and the peace of Jesus. So let's rise and offer that. Awesome, thank you. We're going to turn now to God's Word, and we're going to sing our prayer for understanding, and then Kelta's going to come and lead us through our responsive psalm.
Our responsive psalm this morning is Psalm 130, be found on page 500 in your pew Bibles. So page 500 for Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord.
Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications.
If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, Lord, who could stand?
But there is forgiveness with you, so that you may be revered.
I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in his word I hope.
My soul waits for the Lord, more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning.
O Israel, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is great power to redeem.
It is he who will redeem Israel from all its iniquities.
The word of the Lord.
Our gospel reading, we are continuing in John's gospel, and we're going to read in chapter 11 today, and it is found on page 873 of your pew Bibles. We're going to be reading from verse 1 through to 45. And we continue to follow Jesus. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill, so the sisters sent a message to Jesus. Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to his disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were not just now trying to stone you. Are you going there again? And Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them. After saying this, he told them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him. The disciples said to him, Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right. Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought he was referring merely to sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I am glad I was not there so that you may believe. But let us go to him. Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away. And many of the Jews had come to see Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. And Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said, I know he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." When she had said this, she went back and called to her sister Mary and told her privately, "The teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" And they said, "Lord, come and see." Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could he not now, who opened the eyes of the blind man, have kept him from dying?" Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone lying against it. And Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead for 4 days." But Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you have sent me." When he said this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. This is the word of the Lord. I speak to you in the name of the Creator, the Son, and the Spirit. Sometimes the lectionary, that is the list that we are given that has readings for each Sunday of the week. Sometimes this lectionary list gives us just the reading that we need. I think this is one of those weeks. The last couple of weeks for us as a community of faith have been grieving. They've been filled with grief. On Friday, as we gathered here for Andrew's funeral, we grieved, but we proclaimed the resurrection. For those who are newer to this community of faith, and there are several online, Andrew was part of this community of faith for a long time, and you probably didn't get a chance to know him because he's been sick for the last 18 months, but the grief that you're hearing us talk about and that we are experiencing is because Andrew was a heartbeat to this community. He and his family had been here for a long time and very, very active and involved. You have heard, and we have prayed for the last 18 months for him. So the grief has been significant. So it seems fitting that today we engage the story of two sisters seeking help for their ill brother. And we enter into the grief that they feel following his death. The scene began with Martha and Mary sending a message to Jesus, to letting him know that their brother Lazarus, who Jesus knew and loved, was ill to the point of death. Jesus said to them, though, to the disciples, he said, "This will all end in glory for God." So even though he loved Mary and Martha and Lazarus, he did not immediately go to them. Jesus says that he loves them, even though he doesn't jump up and run to them. We can sometimes stumble on this, can't we? We can sometimes wonder, why did Jesus respond in that way? Is that what love really looks like? Is that the kind of love that we want from Jesus? Certainly wasn't the response that Martha or Mary were looking for. And it's not necessarily how we want our prayers answered either. Might feel hard to take that all in or understand, but it wasn't a lack of love that kept Jesus away, nor a lack of love that let Lazarus die. God's glory doesn't cancel out God's love. Jesus knew what was to come. He knew the glorifying miracle that was to come. And he loves them. This we know. What we see is that even though he knows exactly how this story is going to end, Jesus feels and expresses genuine love for his friends, and he joins them in their suffering. Martha seems to be really anchored in the knowledge of Jesus' love for them. When she meets him, she laments and shares her heart with Jesus, saying, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." She believes that Jesus is powerful, and she trusts that power as well as the fact that he loves them. Martha's faith continues to be strong, even though Jesus was not there when they needed him. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him, she says, and I know that my brother will rise again. Even though Martha has walked into the valley and in and through the valley of the shadow of death, she does not doubt the goodness of the Lord or the love of Jesus. When Jesus tells her that he himself is the resurrection and the life and asks her about the kind of belief she has, she appears to be just as honest. She is sure that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. Like Martha, when Mary comes to Jesus, she laments, "If you had been here." But she does so at his feet, having knelt in reverence and acceptance of who Jesus is to her, It's significant that those two are held together. When Jesus saw her weeping and that those who came with her were also weeping, Jesus was deeply moved. And his compassion for them just spilled out, and he wept as well. These tears were a sign of Jesus' compassion for all who were grieving, and a visible sign of the love that he had for Lazarus. Jesus' heart and tear ducts were connected together, as they are for so many of us. Even though he knows what is to come, and that this loss is only temporary, his heart aches for those who are hurting. This story comes near the end of Jesus' life, and if we keep going in John's Gospel, we are entering soon into the Holy Week events. Soon Mary will anoint Jesus' feet with the expensive perfume. Soon Jesus will end up on the cross. This story, this account, helps us to hold the tension between the one that we know can do anything, absolutely anything, and the reality that death is part of the human experience. I listened to a podcast this week, and it was a Canadian author, Kate Bowler, who many of you have come to know through me and through some of our Bible studies and my emails that as I share her blessings with you. The podcast, she was interviewing and talking with Dr. Thomas Long, who is a great American Presbyterian minister, and they were talking about funerals and death and the hard stuff of life. She, at one point when they were talking about funerals, you'll remember that she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at age 35 and had a very young child. She tearfully asked him at one point, "Why do we have to die?" This may be a question that you have asked, and it might be a question that is asked when death seems to come too soon or in a way that we judge to be unfair. Tom Long said, "There is no easy answer to why we die, but it is the reality that every single person will die." And he said, "But we as Christians proclaim that death does not win. Death does not get the final word. And we do this each time we have a funeral. We sit in the presence and in the reality of death, and we proclaim that death does not win." This account of Jesus with Mary and Martha and Lazarus foreshadows and leads us to Jesus being glorified, God being glorified, because death, while it became and is part of our earthly life, death doesn't win. This is not the end of the story. This story that we've read from John this morning, it holds in tension the sorrow we feel, holds in tension the sorrow and the glory that God promises to us in the resurrection to eternal life. As we sit with this tension, may we take comfort knowing that the one who wept with Martha, with Mary, with all who were there, weeps with us. May we hold on to that belief that death doesn't win. Greater glory is to come. Greater glory is to come. Love will win. Always, always, always. Amen. Our hymn of response is called Love Lifted Me, and Olivia is going to sing the verses, and we're going to join in for the chorus. All the words are going to be on the screen, so if you get to a point where you want to join in on the verses with Olivia, she'll welcome that, and it's okay, but for sure, let's join in the chorus, and I'm going to invite you just to stay seated. We'll just stay seated and we'll take this in.
I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the Master of the sea heard my despairing cry. From the waters lifted me, now safe am I. Love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. All my heart to Him I give, ever to Him I'll cling. In His blessed presence live, ever His praises sing. Love so mighty and so true merits my soul's best songs. Faithful, loving service to Him belongs. Love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. Souls in danger look above, Jesus completely saves. He will lift you by His love out of the angry waves. He's the Master of
Thank you, Olivia and Elizabeth, for leading us in that, and Megan for finding that song for us. That's maybe a little mantra that we can hold on to, right? Love lifted me, and love will lift us. We come to our time of offering. I'm going to invite Warwick to come up and share with us a message and just a reminder about our food drive for Compass.
Thank you, Reverend Gill. Is the mic on? Good. Good morning. Just would like to take a few minutes to bring greetings from the Compass and to let you know as to some of the things that you're doing these days in our community. I've been given 4 to 5 minutes, so I'll try to hurry through this as fast as I can. So. Bear with me. There are so many hard realities that our South Mississauga communities and the Compass Food Bank and Outreach Center are facing together. The term affordable housing is a thing of the past. We have clients coming to us every week holding eviction notices, desperate for help and guidance in fear they'll soon be living on the street with their children. It's heartbreaking, especially that of more than 4,000 people the Compass now serves. 1 in every 3 is a child under the age of 18. So many of our seniors are at risk now too. The number of clients we serve who are 65 and older has increased by 39% comparing 2022-2021. Many of them are living in isolation, and the Compass is the only link to both food and community. The number of new households coming to the Compass for help is up 178%, with over 200 of them being refugees from the Ukraine. At the end of 2022, the number of souls we served increased by 65% over 2021, and it keeps climbing. Food banks across Canada are seeing very similar numbers. 53% of the food we receive at the Compass comes from the Mississauga Food Bank, but they are struggling too. So we're seeing less and less. What can we do as a community to make a difference right now? Community food donations are down since previous years, and our bare shelves show it. Food drives and food donations help us feed the growing number of people in need. As fast as food comes in, it goes out. We continue to build relationships with manufacturers who can sometimes deliver food at a lower cost than retail stores can, which helps make monetary donations go further. Our move to 427 Lakeshore Road East has given us the space to be able to focus on supporting our clients in the ways that go beyond the food support that they receive. In our new space, we have been able to focus on partnering with more community agencies. By doing so, it has enabled us to double the capacity of our client services department and add more services such as a nursing clinic, addiction counseling, hepatitis, HIV education and prevention, clinics, employment services, housing support, haircuts, tax services, community lunches, Bible study, and an ID clinic. We are so grateful for the support we receive from our member churches, local schools, local businesses, community organizations, and more. It's critical at this time more than ever to find ways that support our vulnerable community and help us continue to build vital relationships with our clients. We all know that the Compass is more than a food bank. We are blessed to be able to offer program services that feed the soul as well as the body. At the Compass, our goal is to humbly meet each client at their point of need each day and to provide help up today and hope for tomorrow. Just a few stats. We have right now 287 volunteers at the Compass. We have one full-time staff, 5 part-time staff, 14 member churches, and 1 supporting church. In the last 4 weeks, we are averaging 1,800 individuals each week coming to us for groceries. In February, we served 4,850 hot meals from our kitchen, the most meals per month since we opened a year ago. Food donations from the community are way, way down. Some of the things that we need as far as the food drive is concerned, I think last week Reverend mentioned a few names, but now they've updated that. They need tuna, Campbell soup, Kraft dinner, breakfast cereal, peanut butter, toothpaste, diapers, size 4 and 6, and some bar soap. So again, all donations that come in are to be dropped off at the church here, and I will make sure that they're delivered to the Compass. If there's people who, especially online, who can't get to the store to buy their food, just send the money in to us and just earmark it for the Compass, and we will send it off to the Compass as part of our donation at the end of the year. And if people cannot deliver your contributions here to the church, just let the church know, and I'll be more than happy to come and pick it up at your home going forward from here. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, again, in closing, it's good to have a food drive like this, but keep in mind that, as we said in the numbers here, we need food every day, not just a food drive. So anytime you have any extra food that you go to the store and get an extra can of soup or whatever, just put it aside, and just maybe the next time you're down on Lakeshore, just pop it in, just say, here's a donation. They'd be more than happy to give it to you. I'll be around for after I assume you're having a breakfast or a cup of tea, so I'll be around afterwards if you need any help or any questions that you need. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Warwick. Warwick has been part of this community of faith for a long time, and the work of Compass and the Compass clients have really touched his heart in a profound way, and he spends a lot of time volunteering there. And so I thank you for coming to talk to us about and giving us a broader update too on what's happening with Compass. We've got bins out. The bins are always here. So we're doing a food drive. Next week is our official last week for this food drive, so we can get things on the shelves at Compass before Easter. Lots of the other churches will be doing their Easter drive, but we want to have some stuff on the shelves for when they come in to do some shopping for Easter weekend coming up, that there's some stuff there. So we'll take donations till next weekend, and Warwick will make sure that those get down to the Compass. But really, like he said, anytime, if you just pick up an extra can of soup or whatever, the bins are here, and we'll always make sure between Warwick and Bobby, they're down there a lot, so there's a way to get them down there, and it is good that we are part of the Compass and able to help our neighbors in this time. So let's pray a prayer of dedication for all the gifts that we give. Wondrous God, I thank you for this community of faith and the way that they love and care for one another. We witness this week after week, and it was on a special display this week. I thank you that we are able to come together to support others, and it was amazing to see people in the midst of their own grief welcome others, bake, sing, the multitude of things that happened this week to serve you and to help those who were grieving. God, we place all of our gifts in your hands, whether they be monetary, they be cans of food or boxes of food, whether they be companionship, whether they be learning about you through Bible study. We place all of our gifts in your hands. With the power of your Spirit, we pray that you will make them seeds of new life, springing up with hope and healing weary souls. We give because you love us and you gave first. And so we respond and give in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's come now with our prayers of the people.
Lord, hear my prayer, O Lord, hear my prayer. When I call, answer me. O Lord, hear my prayer, O Lord, hear my prayer. Come and listen to me.
God of the loving heart, thank you that in Jesus, you call each of us by name and unite us in his body, the church. Give us love enough to make a difference in your world and trust enough to follow, even when the way ahead of us is challenging. Christ of majesty and mercy, bring your compassion to this world once more. God of peace and promise, in Christ you call us to love our enemies and to be peacemakers in the world you love. We pray today for people and places that are divided by bitterness and hostility. We remember and pray for the people of Israel and Palestine, Russia and Ukraine. We pray for the people of Syria and Haiti. Lord, in your mercy, bring your compassion to this world once more. O God of the bruised and broken, we are grateful that in Christ you have taken up the cross and know by heart the things that bring us suffering and pain. We pray today for all who are in need of healing and comfort, whatever the source of their pain. As we remember those that we know, we also remember and pray for all the people who were affected by the fierce tornadoes that ripped through the U.S. yesterday, leaving a path of destruction and death. We're going to lift up to you now in the silence of this moment the people that we know who need healing and comfort. O Lord, in your mercy, bring your compassion to this world once more. God of the lonely and sorrowing, in Christ you faced the loss that we know when loved ones die. We pray for the Billings family whose grief is so fresh, grief that they will begin to take in different ways as the reality of Andrew's death sinks in for them. Comfort them and surround them with people who can walk beside them in their grief. We pray for all who are mourning, whether it be new or more distant losses, and we name them before you now in the silence of this moment. Lord, in your mercy, bring compassion to this world once again. God of hope and new possibility, in Christ you open the way to a future for us through the power of your redeeming love. Give us the courage that we need to face our future, assured of your presence and power to sustain us. We offer all that we are and all that we hope for through Jesus Christ. And we join our hearts together and our voices together now and pray the prayer that Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Lord, hear my prayer, O Lord, hear my prayer. When I call, answer me. O Lord, hear my prayer, O Lord, hear my prayer. Come and listen to me.
Our closing hymn is number 358. There is a Redeemer. 358. Go being assured that you never walk alone, not one day of your life. Jesus and the Holy Spirit are with you. They are there to lift you up, to comfort you, to cheer you on, and to buoy you. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the friendship and fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with each one of us and those that we love and pray for on this day and forevermore. Amen.
Take, oh, take me as I